Hi everyone, good morning, and welcome back to another episode of Drawing Processes. My name's Victoria, I am a fine art artist, illustrator, and art teacher, and we are going to see how I created and drew Aki from Chainsaw Man today. So, yeah, Chainsaw Man time. So what we'll be talking about today is mainly how I start off my drawings, how I layer, how I color everything, also a little bit about planning out where I kind of decide what I want for the background, and also just a little bit of a chit chat about Chainsaw Man. If you're a big Chainsaw Man fan, we'll get to talk a little bit about Chainsaw Man, have a little banter, and kind of discussing a little bit how like the anime was and my experience of watching it and what my thoughts are about the anime. So if you guys are ready to see some coloring and some drawing process, let's get started. So I usually start out my drawings like how I usually do, so I would actually do the sketch on a separate piece of paper so I can try out all the poses I can explore and see the many possibilities before I actually start coloring one of the sketches that I drew, and I would transfer that onto a clean paper, which is a high quality Bristol paper. I use Strathmore Bristol paper. I think I've been using that for probably like over 8 to 10 years or so, and it's been the one that I've been sticking to the most because the colors tend to come out a lot better. Color application is a lot better on that piece of paper as well, so I really do recommend that one. And but you can feel free to try out different types of paper and just kind of see what you like. But I stick with Bristol paper. It's nice and thick, it's sturdy, it can go through a lot of coloring, a lot of rubbing of the color pencils, so it's perfect. And usually I don't have any specific part that I like to start on when it comes to coloring my illustrations. Usually I would probably start with the actual main subject, which since I draw mostly characters and portraits, that's the first thing that I start with. You probably tend to see me start the hair first a little bit so that we kind of get a base color down first, and then move on to other more detailed features like the eyes, the face, and all that. But I usually like to fill in one area at least a little bit so I actually can see it as a whole, and also before I make it any darker, because the moment I have the darker tones colored in, it's going to be a lot harder to change. So be a little bit more mindful and careful when you're adding darker colors, because once you're happy and then you're like, okay, let's go with the darker colors, and then you go in and you're like, okay, this is it. And if you do try to change a little bit, you could if you add light layers like I do, because I would probably add like 5 to 10 light layers in order to build that nice darkness. But you probably may have like a tendency of pressing a little bit too hard at first, so I would recommend press lighter so that you have more flexibility and then you have more room to be able to erase if you actually did need to. But so far I've been drawing for quite a long time, so I know what I'm looking for, so definitely that comes from experience and practice and drawing lots and making lots of mistakes. So yeah. And then here we're kind of going in a little bit on the eyes and adding details. So all the colors that I color in are always very faded, very light at the beginning, and then they gradually, slowly kind of get more vibrant as they go. So if you kind of see the current stage right now, and then if you jump forward to if you jump forward to the to more of like the later stages of the drawing, then you kind of see like how big of a difference you see between the color tones and then like how dark and how intense some of it is. Like here you start to see a little bit, mostly with that darker strand over there for Aki in front of his bangs. So that one I'm already starting to put quite a bit more concentrated colors. I am blending black using Crayola color pencils, and I'm also using a navy blue from Laurentien, but you could probably get like a navy blue from Crayola. I strictly stick with Crayola. If Crayola doesn't have a certain color, I might pick another brand just so that I can get the colors that I need to use for the particular character. But sometimes it's harder to find, so I would buy like singles for like Faber-Castell and stuff. Faber-Castell is a really nice pencil, but it's very different from Crayola. Crayola tends to have a lot more wax to it and a lot more like shine to it, where Faber-Castell is very soft, very nice, and it's strictly like there's a lot of pigment in it, which is fantastic because you get like the full intensity of the color though, but they do tend to smudge a lot more than Crayola. Crayola still smudges too, so that's why I have that piece of paper on the side, just in case if I don't like rub off any of the extra coloring that I did beforehand. And it's just kind of keeping his face clean, because since I am working with a blue, I have to be really careful because that blue can easily smudge into the skin tones. And then when I kind of color in the skin tones, since I'm using peach is a kind of a yellow, kind of like an orange, so the blue and the yellow and the orange kind of could create a brownish or like a yucky brown and green, so I don't want that to happen. So you want to be really mindful, really careful when you're working, and also keep an eye out your surroundings, because it can get very messy and you can easily ruin your drawing like that, so be careful. Now, the key idea is to try to kind of at least fill in a base color or somewhat color it in so that there's probably like 5 layers of color before moving on to another part, so you kind of gradually see the whole drawing getting filled in. Now, I'm still adding some more layers onto the hair, and after that I will actually start moving down to the tie and the clothing, because it is a very similar color. So while I have my black, my gray, and my dark blue at hand, I'm going to also fill in the tie. So after I fill in peach with the hand though. Okay, now here's where we kind of start filling in the clothing on stuff. So it's a very steady work and coloring process, so you want to be very careful for each stroke, each line that you fill in, and you always keep it light. Remember to always keep it light, because just in case if you need to erase, you still have the ability to do so. And I'm just kind of like filling in base color for the tie, which is basically black. So as you can see, that's how light I'm going. So it looks like a gray though, but I'm actually using a black. And once I have that, I'm happy with where the shadows are, where the lighting is, and then now I can actually go in with a darker tone and gradually fill it in so that it becomes darker and darker. And I will also add a base tone to the suit, and same thing, go lightly at the very beginning and build your way up as you add more darker tones, and always keep your pencils sharp, because that's very important. You probably don't see as much of how many times I actually do sharpen my pencil, but it's very, very frequent. So that little buddy there is always with me at all times. Sometimes he eats my pencils quite a bit, and when I mentioned that it eats my pencils, like it would snap the lead, so I would actually have to go in with a X-Acto knife, remove the wood casing, and then sharpen and point the lead up with the pencil sharpeners. I should actually make a video about that. That'll be kind of helpful, but like just be mindful, be careful, because the reason why I kind of kept from making that video is that mostly for you kids, okay, and for my students, I'm very wary of and cautious when it comes to students, and mostly like the younger students, because they would at least need some parent supervision or somebody to kind of look after them like an adult, so that they make sure that they don't cut themselves, because I have done that so many times by accident, and it was a mess. It was really bloody. Yeah. but just be careful. You don't want to hurt yourself, even though like it's a very passive activity where you're like, oh yeah, it's just drawing, you won't hurt yourself. Like, well, sometimes, yeah, there's certain accidents that do happen. Okay, and over here, as you can see, I'm actually going back with the pencil. So there is no rule saying that you can't actually go back with your pencil once you actually start with the clean drawing and you want to keep it just color pencil strictly because you don't want to dirty any of the drawing there. But sometimes, just to be safe, mostly when I'm changing shapes here, like for example this katana, I'm changing the patterns of the what you would call it, the designs on the handle, right? And some of them were slightly bit off when I transferred and traced over it, so that didn't work very well. So I had to kind of refine it and go back with an actual pencil to kind of find those guidelines again before I actually started to color. And some of the angles were slightly a bit off, so I was like, yeah, I'm gonna change it because I'm not satisfied with keeping the things the way they are. So when things need to get changed, please change them, because you will be very grateful to yourself like after when you changed it, and when you finish your drawing, you're like, yeah, I was happy that I changed that. So now I'm kind of starting off with base colors now and kind of slowly getting this katana colored in and filled in. And yeah, I actually like drawing these smaller details for this. And then also there's this strap, the red strap that Aki uses to keep his katana on his back and with him at all times, because apparently I think so it's one of his what you would call it, one of his I was about to say quirk. No, it's not quirk. What was it called? You guys know, for all those Chainsaw Man fans out there, you guys know what it's called. It's not, is it a curse? Oh, maybe it is. Because I thought that was like Jujutsu Kaisen strictly though, but maybe it's called curse. I have to search on that. But yeah, so the red strap, I was kind of like debating on whether the red strap goes over the suit collar thingamajiggy, but yeah, in the end I kind of decided to make it go above there. But as you can see, like, since I drew the outline quite lightly, like right now you see it quite visibly where you see the edge of that suit part though, but once I actually finish coloring in the strap, you don't see anything anymore. So yeah. Okay, and back to the tie. So here I'm actually making the tie a lot darker, adding layers, and then boom, there it is. There's the nice dark, very contrasted, and this is probably to the point where it's like 80% complete. It's not 100% complete yet. So when I'm actually coloring, I like to bring different parts of the drawing to different percentage of completion. So usually I would bring everything to like 30%, and once everything's about 30%, then I'll actually bring it up so that it goes to 50%, then 80%, then 100%, and just kind of finish off and touching up everything. So yeah, but like definitely there's no rules of like where you have to work in that particular way. You kind of figure it out as you kind of draw more and try out different methods of kind of walking through and finishing your drawings. So feel free to kind of experiment and try out different processes and also different methods of and kind of going through different stages of your drawing process, because some people probably doesn't like to jump too much. So for example, if you're the type of person that would prefer finishing one area to the point that it's like 100% complete before moving on to any other parts, because you don't want to kind of come back to it all the time and touch it up and all that stuff. So you rather finish it all in one go, and then once that thing is done, it's done completely, and basically as you kind of move down the whole drawing, then the whole drawing is going to be done, and then you don't have to go back again. That didn't really work for me. I tend to see a lot better when I have majority of the drawing kind of filled in, so I'm not a big fan of just working on one particular part. And I think so I tend to get tired of working on like one area all the time, and my eyes also gets tired, so I don't see as much of a difference or mistakes. So I like to move around to keep my eyes fresh from seeing and spotting errors or things I need to adjust and all that. So yeah, just trying to find the balance, see what works for you. There's many different ways of actually completing a drawing. So yeah, have fun, experiment, try out different methods, try out different stages and steps of walking through and filling in your drawing. Yeah. Okay, so now we're kind of just touching up and I'm just adding more shadows to the skin tones on the hand, and I use the combination of peach as the base tone and also using orange, light brown, tan, pink, brown as well for anything that's darker, but just kind of having a balance between all those different earth tones, skin tones to create that nice shadow for Aki's hand. And also similar thing for the shadow under the neck, it's going to be the same colors that I use for the shadow on the hand. Okay, and now we start working on the background. So initially I didn't have a specific did I have a specific idea? I think so for Aki I kind of did, but not at the very beginning though. Oh wait. Actually, I did because it was on the sketch, so that's basically how I know whether if I did have the initial idea of what I want for the background or not, is that if I added it into the sketch. So Aki, I did have the idea because I had this in mind where we have the fox devil, which is one of his familiar, I don't know if we call it a familiar though, but like one of the devils that he had a contract with, and I thought it would be a great idea to build in some story into it, so having the fox devil in the background kind of tells a little bit of a story of what, and not what, but who Aki is and what he's been through a little bit. So I usually like to kind of add more of that into my illustrations now, so it's not just like a blank background. I don't do that as much anymore, unless if it's for character designing and all that stuff, and if I want to try out something specific though. But I'm trying to do my best to kind of try to add a little bit more story and a little bit more reference and something related to the characters, so that it makes it a lot more interesting. And since that fox demon is like huge, I kind of put the part of the face, like half of the face, as the background, as in the eye, which is super cool because it has these like really cool swirly things in it. And apparently the fox devil has more than just one eye, I believe, but yeah, so there's that. And I'm kind of filling in the vibrant colors. The eyes, mostly I used orange, yellow orange, red orange, yellow, red, and for any of the darker shadow parts I'll probably use brown and black. So, but just gradually adding the layers in. So I kind of added some base layers for the other two smaller eyes on the right side, but the other swirly thing I would actually have to add like a base color, so I kind of pick and choose which swirly part I want to keep red and colored in, but I'm kind of like gradually adding that in though. But yeah, since I'm filling the background right now, let's do a little bit of chit chat about Chainsaw Man. So it was actually really interesting when I started to watch it. I did not know what I was actually getting myself into, so it was actually pretty interesting. Where the rule of thumb is when you usually watch an anime, whether if you want to know if it's good or not, usually you want to at least watch like 3 episodes or so. And I watched 3 episodes and it was very interesting. Not the to-go anime I would watch though. I think I believe I did watch like, did I watch 3 episodes at first? I think so. I watched 1 episode and I kind of stopped there and I was like, yeah, this is probably not for me though. But then again, I was like, yeah, maybe I should continue a bit more before I kind of judge and see whether if I like the anime or not. And it turned out really good. It got better and better as I went through all the episodes. I'll try not to spoil anything for the anime, but feel free to actually watch it because it is very solid. The characters are very interesting in there, and by far Aki is my favorite. So that's why I drew him out of all the other characters that I could possibly draw from Chainsaw Man, and he was really fun. I think so, like, definitely character design has a big impact on me, so Aki looked the best for any of the male characters that were in there. Definitely there were a lot of more interesting ones. There was that other angel dude, the angel devil, that I'm thinking of drawing maybe in the future, but I'll finish with the main characters first. So I'll finish with Aki, I'll finish with Makima, Power, and also Denji. Denji's being very picky. I just can't find like a nice pose for him. Like Makima and Power, they're all good to go, but it's just Denji I'm having issues with with Denji. Why Denji? Why are you being so hard on me? But eventually we'll have to kind of decide on one, and then if I'm not quite happy with it, I'll just let it be, and then eventually I'll just do more drawings of Denji until I find one that I prefer more. The key idea is to not just stop at one point where it's like, yeah, I can't find the right Denji, so I'm not gonna draw Denji. That's not a very good way to kind of approach it, because it doesn't challenge yourself to kind of try out something that is out of your comfort zone. So it's good to kind of not force yourself. Okay, well, maybe kind of like force yourself to kind of decide and make on a decision and just draw it, and then whatever comes out, and then that way you have something to compare to and actually look at to see, oh, I like this part that I did on the drawing or for this character, but I don't like this one. So if you actually do one in the future, again, then you kind of can pick and choose to see what you would actually like to add and create. So, but yeah, check out Chainsaw Man. Chainsaw Man is a awesome anime, and I hope they come out with another season just to kind of see how the world is and all that. But yeah, so here, as you can see, I'm sketching out the mouth for the fox devil, and I kind of changed it around a little bit so that it would fit. The first mouth didn't really work out, so thank goodness I sketched that out with a pencil. That would have been a little bit all over the place if it was straight on with colored pencils. So that was a smart move that I did. And now I'm just kind of gradually adding in the base tones for the mouth, and also just kind of like gradually layering. I think I really enjoyed drawing that mouth. Like, did I enjoy drawing the mouth more than Aki? Maybe. But no, just generally this drawing was a super fun drawing. I really enjoyed coloring and creating this brand new Chainsaw Man drawing. So this teeth area was a really nice feature that I added to the background. So I was happy with the overall composition, pose, and coloring of this whole piece. So this was a good piece. Yay. I will probably add it to one of my favorite pieces of the year. I actually did color quite a bit this year, so let's see if there's anything else to talk about here, because I'm basically just kind of retouching majority of the places on the drawing. So as you can see, the colors are getting a lot more vibrant, cleaning off and polishing off some of the edges and making it a lot more neater, a lot more sharp, more contrasted. But yeah, it's a lot of back and forth. I have to kind of make things a little bit darker than it actually is because it looked a little bit faded, and that does happen with colored pencils sometimes, where you really have to layer it quite a bit in order for the colors to actually pop out nicely. At least for Crayola. I think so you might have like the colors pop out a little bit better if you use like some more higher quality color pencils like Faber-Castell or Koh-i-Noor, I think so that one was called. But I really love coloring with color pencils, and this particular piece, let's see what I've learned from this one, because I usually learn a few new stuff after coloring and drawing a new illustration. This one in particularly, I would say try to be a little bit more free and open with the possibilities that you could try out and see what would work for the background, what would work for the composition, and also coloring. There is a lot more possibilities too though, but mostly when you're doing fan art and all that stuff, they tend to have like a set color palette that they have. Like definitely I'm not gonna give Aki like red hair. That would be interesting. But usually I think this one is just having more fun and creative with the background because there's so much stuff that you can actually do as a background. I had the option of having more of a cinematic view of it or a more symbolic or kind of iconic, which technically what I picked here, and it could also be more of a stylistic version as well, so depending on like what you want to try out and all that stuff. And then also you can change it around where you actually don't have to keep the same outfits that the original character had. You can have like a more casual outfit, which I see a lot of artists and fans create and draw, which is really nice. Like there's certain people that do really amazing stuff with that. So yeah, the key idea is to have fun. Oh, here's the Maulstick, yay. Yeah, this is the thing that I was talking about in the last episode. So basically, as you can see, my hand's actually leaning on the stick so that I don't ruin Aki's face. That would have been quite horrid and the end of the world. But having the Maulstick really works out a lot because it kind of prevents your hand to have any type of contact onto the paper, because you kind of see where as you're coloring, your hand is moving quite a bit, so you're kind of always moving back and forth all the time there. But yeah, so I think that's pretty much it. Just some final touch-ups, and then basically we are ready to add those nice, beautiful highlights. So now just coloring in his beautiful nails here, and also anywhere else that needs to kind of touch up a little bit. His eyes were slightly bit faded, so I added some blue to it, slightly bit more, and just also touching up a little bit of the background. And touch-ups usually take quite a bit because that's the stage where it kind of helps you bring it closer to the final finished artwork. So touch-ups is quite important because it's those little fine little details that helps bring it to the full, complete, and glorious, beautiful drawing at the end. But yeah, there you go. We are done! I would say this highlight thing at the end is also one of my favorite parts because it's like, yes, I've finished the illustration. There's not much to do on it anymore, so just the final touch-ups, nice little highlights, so it kind of brings out the white areas of the sparkles, not really sparkles though, but like the highlights, so it makes it pop, right? Because when you're coloring, despite how, no matter like how clean you keep it, sometimes the white does slightly get a little bit smudged and it's not as pure white as it used to be, and you actually notice quite a bit mostly when you actually start painting the highlights because it's very obvious. And then like certain parts, I just color over it. I just don't bother keeping it white anymore because it takes time to be a little bit more precise in leaving certain areas, and like the quality isn't as good unless if it's like quite a big area, then I would actually leave it though. But if it's not, then I wouldn't bother and just color over the whole base and then just add the highlights with the paint. And just the last bit of touch-ups and we have completed this illustration. But yeah, there you go. There's Aki from Chainsaw Man for you. So I hope everybody enjoyed this brand new drawing process. I hope you guys learned a few new things about how I create my illustrations and how I color with my colored pencils. But yeah, feel free to try out some illustrations like these in the future as well. Enjoy, experiment, have fun. And if you'd like to help and support and actually get early access to my artworks, I do have more on my Patreon where you can get sneak peeks of new artworks that I'm currently working on, and you get voting polls of what other illustrations I can create next, and also step-by-step drawing processes of my illustrations with brief description and also a list of art materials. And also I got a whole bunch of other practice and drawing exercises too on there, so if you like to practice your coloring, practice your drawing, all that stuff, I have weekly constructions, other drawing and hatching exercises, giving you guys tips and advice if you guys have any questions, and also a learning poll that you can actually pick to see what other subjects or things you would like to learn in art and drawing and painting. So yeah. Thank you again so much for watching this brand new video, and I hope everybody enjoyed it. If you liked the new video, please do subscribe. Please also click the like button, and also please do comment if you'd like to see other characters or other new illustrations that you would like me to share the drawing process with you guys. I'll be more than happy to do that. And if you have any other questions about coloring and all that stuff, I'll also be more than happy to help you out with those. And yeah, and that's pretty much it today. So thank you again so much. Take care, have a wonderful week, have a wonderful end of the month, enjoy springtime because it actually is spring break. So I would actually have a lot of time to start creating more of my own illustrations because I finished a whole bunch of previous works from clients, and now I am set free to do my own projects. Woo! So yeah, take care, stay creative, have fun practicing, have fun drawing, have fun doing what you love, and I shall see you in the next video. But take care, thanks again, bye!